All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of the One Up Sales Development Podcast. For today's guest, I have for you, oh man, I swear it's truly blissful and honor. Every guest just gets better and better and better. For this individual that I got next for you guys is someone truly deep in the game. And I'm talking about deep in sales development game. If you don't know who he is, you're going to hear about him. And if you have heard of him, you know exactly where he's coming from. So this guy is a young buck hustler. He used to be, in high school, he was a pro wrestler too. He was a 6X national team member of the freestyle and Greco wrestling, 3X state placer wrestler. And, he's also an AP and honor student. But what really brought me to, gotta have this guy on, is this individual right here. Started from the bottom, started from the front line. He really got his first itch first in terms of marketing. He got into sales development, got in the game, but he did what others would actually never do. And for a lot of people who out there, they realize, you know what, I'm in sales development, and I want to roll my own shit. But they don't do so because of the risks and the failures and things like that. But this guy came out hot and made it happen. Please give us a warm welcome for the one and only Mr. Nico Hughes, SVP, founder and owner of BetterGrowth. Nico!
Thank you. That was the best introduction I've ever had in my life.
Man, dude, Nico, thank you again so much for hopping on to One Up Sales Development Podcast, man. I'm really happy and excited for you to jump on and share your story today. How are you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. Honored to be here. Thanks for the invite. It was a pleasant LinkedIn message to see you asking me to do this. So yeah, thanks for your time and thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man, Nico, I know we connected for like over half a year now, and we've been going on back and forth, just always value exchange, helping each other out as much as possible. So this is your show. This is your episode. Run it out, baby. Please, for those who are listening, why don't you go ahead and just give us a brief introduction of who you are and what do you currently do and what is BetterGrowth?
So pretty much I'm Nico, obviously. I'm from the Portland area, grew up in Washington State. My background is in sales development. Like Jackson said, I initially got I got a degree in marketing and advertising, got my start in digital marketing in the Portland tech scene. Quickly made a transition to sales because even though I love marketers, it was a little bit too much up in the clouds for me, too theoretical. And I saw sales as being allowing me to kind of take more ownership of my career and more ownership of the day-to-day work that I did. And my viewpoint on sales development is it's micro marketing. So you do a lot of the same tactical things that marketers do, except it's, one-to-one or one-to-many. And so I took, what I knew from the marketing world and just brought it to sales development. And but I was able to control more of how much I made. So that was my big reason to make the change. But yeah, I've been working in the Portland tech scene, in the startup world for about 7 or 8 years now. I wrestled in college for a few years, and that's kind of my driving force is that grind mentality. My parents kind of instilled that into me, and I took that mentality and brought it to my career because I wrestled on a scholarship, but I quickly realized that I was super interested in business and probably could make as much as my scholarship gave me by just working hard. And so I decided to, stop wrestling and jump full board into the startup scene. And kind of got the ball rolling from there. A few years after, working for some great companies in Portland, Lytics being one, working for some great leaders and great people. Shout out to Casey Corrigan, currently the VP of sales at Ask Nicely. He kind of let me get my start underneath him and taught me a lot. Also, Bryce Kropp, who's recently joined Sheer ID as one of their sales leaders. Him and I kind of got our footing together in the Portland tech scene and learned a lot from each other. But a few years after kind of working for people, I started doing consulting on the side and started doing sales development outsourcing with my brother and business partner. We started a company called ST Remote, and really we were working with seed and Series A funded companies, just helping them get their first 10 to 15 logos, building out their sales engine, kind of taking our expertise in, software sales and helping, technical co-founders that might have not had that experience. And we ran that for a few years and then rebranded to BetterGrowth and kind of added a little bit more to what we do. So instead of just doing sales outsourcing and consulting, we now do customer success and support. We do a lot of training and strategic fractional leadership. So we kind of take on the VP of sales or VP of CS role and kind of help bigger companies. We work a lot of venture, late stage venture and private equity backed teams now. I got a great team with me. We hired a CEO last year, Houston Perry, who's a great man, a great mentor. He's on our team. Also have great partners, Leah and Katie Cheney, who run our people operations and customer success. And so, yeah, man, we're just trying to make our own scene, make waves in the tech scene, and help companies reach profitability and make a name for themselves as we make a name for ourselves. So yeah, that's me.
Nice. Nico Hughes, welcome, man. Dude, I have so many questions for you, man. So let's dive a little bit deep real quick, and let's reverse engineer for a little quick here. So did you wrestle? So first of all, you're a good looking guy, man. How old are you?
I'm 28.
Oh man, young baby, young. I'm 31. I'm 31, still here grinding, good stuff. So here's the thing, man. So let's dive back. I want to get to know you a little bit more in your background. When we spoke earlier, you mentioned you really grew up in the Washington area. Did you go to high school there too in Washington?
Yep, I went to Kelso High School, which is about an hour north of Portland. Small town, kind of a hard-nosed, not backwoods, but a small town community. A lot of hardworking
people. Is that close to like Spanaway or not Spokane, right?
Spanaway Lake, it's on the I-5 corridor, so it's an hour north of Portland and about an hour and a half, 2 hours south of Seattle. So
Gotcha.
about an hour south of Olympia, the capital of Washington. So yeah.
Cool. And you did you start wrestling in high school, or is this like the college days?
No, I started wrestling in middle school. I sucked initially. I kind of the same thing, career-wise. Like I don't think I'm the smartest person in the room. I'm not the most talented person in the room. I'm just kind of hardworking. I put my head down. If I see a goal, I just figure out how to make it happen. And that's kind of my wrestling career too. Like I had great people around me that helped me be good, but really I knew that if I spent more time on the mat, I probably would beat majority of people, and it seemed to work for me. But yeah, I kind of not the most talented person, just kind of the dumbest, hardest working one, I guess.
No, I love that. Okay, so that's where that came from too, right? So you used to wrestle in junior high. You have like the mouth guard and head thing on, and your job is to submit the opponent, right? And that's where the grit came from. Then I totally see that. You said, you know what, maybe I'm not really book smart, but this is where it's at. And I know if I work the hardest, but also the smartest as much as possible, along with having the right coach and surrounding myself with the right people, it can't possibly work. Yeah. And you work your way up through junior high to high school, and then college. And did you go to college in was it in Washington too, or is this when you moved out?
So initially I wrestled for a school in Canada called Simon Fraser University. It's a Canadian university, but they compete in the NCAA, so they're a Division II school. So I wrestled there for a bit, and then I transferred down to Clackamas Community College, which is one of the top junior colleges in the country. So I wrestled there for a couple of years. We did pretty good. So that's where I wrestled in college, and then after that, I did a little bit of MMA. I do jiu-jitsu. Yeah, I train jiu-jitsu now and coach wrestling at a club in Portland called Henzo Gracie.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wait, you coach wrestling now too?
Yeah, I coach wrestling.
Oh man.
Yeah, that's really awesome. Just helping people learn how to take it down. So.
Dude, that's good, man. Yeah, Nico giving back, huh?
Always gotta give back.
Dude, that's how you do it, man. I love that. Okay, so you wrestled there, and now you're coaching wrestling. And let's talk about your marketing experience. This is before you got into sales, right? You took a stab at marketing, and you're like, hey man, it's not bad, it's making money. But okay, so talk to us about your marketing experience when you got out of school. What made you choose marketing, and how did you really got started with your first gig in marketing?
Yeah. So I actually started working while going to Portland State. That's where I finished my degree. So I was studying marketing and advertising there. Um, I mean, I just kind of networked a ton. I would go to like every event possible. I started or co-hosted a meetup group called the Young Entrepreneur Society of Portland. We would just bring in people, interview them live, kind of do like a networking session. So I did that for about a year, and I just started kind of meeting people. I applied to a couple paid internships. So I was working like 40, 50 hours a week as an intern for 2 startups, doing marketing. And I mean, I was running social, I was doing PR, reaching out, doing prospecting before I knew it was prospecting, to, like TechCrunch, to all these different websites and, companies to get the startups I was working at, featured in articles. That kind of slowly shifted to me doing outbound activities without knowing that I was, doing outbound activities at the time. Um, I mean, using all sorts of tools to do like email drip, to do landing pages, really just doing, core digital marketing stuff. And I really started getting interested in sales when I was doing outbound, like reaching out to people like, hey, you should check out this event, or you should buy our product. And like, not thinking that I was selling yet. I thought I was still just doing marketing in like a personal way, but yeah, but really, as far as getting my toes wet in the tech scene, I just started meeting people. I would see leaders that, doing interesting things at cool companies in Portland. I would ask them to get coffee, pick their brain, pretty welcoming community in Portland. So a lot of people, were nice enough to let me ask them questions while being in college. But yeah, I mean, I got my first full-time position my senior year of college, and kind of worked full time, finishing out my degree, taking night classes. Yeah.
Nice. Hey, I love that. So let's dive deep into that. You mentioned Portland. It's a tech field. The people there are really nice, and they're open to, hey, you want me to take me out for coffee or lunch? Let's go and pick their brain. So the trouble with a lot of SDR and BDRs, when they just come on, they're scared to ask for help. Sometimes it's ego, sometimes it's not. I don't know why, man. They're just not all of them, but there's a lot of them out there who just they know they need help, but they don't really ask for it because they see it wrong. And we both know that one of the best way to learn is really to just ask for that person for to take out for like coffee and really pick their brains and ask them meaningful questions. So you taking back to when you were asking them for questions, like what was your approach? How did you ask them? What did it really look like for them to say yes? Because I'm assuming you reach out to them when they don't know you yet at all. Like, what was your strategy and what did you do different?
Yeah, no, I think you bring a good point. I think a lot of people, they know they need help, but they're too afraid to ask. And so I think, one, you have to know, like, what's the alternative of not asking? It's like, you're going to still suck at what you're doing. So is it better to suck, or is it better to, eat some humble pie, or, get rejected, So for me, I was like, okay, I don't want to be bad. And I was also like genuinely interested in the tech scene. So like, to me, it was worthwhile to step out on the ledge because of something I was passionate about. But to your question, I spent a lot of time just existing in Portland's tech scene, organically meeting people, putting myself out there, going to events that I probably shouldn't have been at because I wasn't anyone yet. But, just putting myself out there, being genuinely curious and learning. And then when I started asking people, most people still didn't know me at all. But I forget if I read it or someone gave me the advice of, if you want to meet with someone who is like, who is busy, know why you want to talk to them and what you're trying to get out of them. And if you're specific with that, just like sales, they'll probably give you the time of the day. If you just genuinely generically ask like, hey, can I have coffee with you, with no purpose, like a busy person's probably not going to want to talk to you because they know it's going to be a waste of time. But if, I asked like, hey, I'm interested in sales. You're a sales leader. Can you tell me how you got there? Like, that's specific. Like, how did you, you're a VP at a publicly traded company or at a, company that just raised 70 million. Like, how did you get to that point? Like, I use the fact that I was in college or that I was early in my career to my advantage, because when you're young and when you're early, most good people want to help you because they were young and they were early too. And so if you use that to your advantage, that's just what I did. Like, I knew that at least there's going to be one good person,
Nice.
after emailing 10 people, one of them would be interested in helping me. So
there you go. Right. That's how you do it, man. Build a list, attack. And one of them's bound to have a good heart. Right.
Yeah.
Is there any of them that you met that from back then that you still keep in touch today?
Yeah. Matt Wallington, he was a CTO at the first company I worked full time. Actually, my wife worked for him later at a company called Sitebox that got bought by Johnson & Johnson here in Portland. He's someone I still stay in touch with. We talk pretty often. Well, I mean, that's probably the person I talk to the most. Casey Corrigan, like I said, was my first director of sales. Him and
Nice.
he actually advised my company for a while after we started it. I stay in touch with a lot of kind of reps that I worked with early on, like Trent Jones, Bryce Kropp. Yeah, I mean, Portland's a small community, so you always see someone.
Oh yeah, is it? Oh, is that small?
Yeah. For instance, Dave Shanley, he started a pretty big company that got acquired and is working on a new one. But yeah, him and I walked by each other on the street like probably once a week when we were still.
Oh yeah. Hey, Nico, it's good seeing you. Hey, man. All right, man. Dude, I love that. All right, so Nico, man, this is where I really want to take a stab and dive deep into you, man. So you start out in marketing, and then you were doing sales activity where you didn't really realize or notice it until you really did. So what happened? When did you really decide to pull the trigger and jump the gun and say, fuck it, I'm going to go into sales? Because what happened is marketing and sales are always fucking each other. Marketing throws shit over the fence. Sales throws shit back over the fence and say, hey, it's not how the message look like. Marketing says, no, don't tell us how to do our job. And then there's always a misalignment. But from what I see, a lot of people too, typically when they go to marketing, they tend to stay in marketing because they like, I don't need to take care of objections. I don't need care about that. I just throw out some demand gen, make it look good, make a cool, nice message and call to action, and fuck off. Like, I know you mentioned the money, but what was it really? Did you chat with someone and did they say, hey, give it a shot? I think you'd be great. Like, what happened?
Yeah, so there's kind of two things that really pushed me over the edge. One was just the inherent control over my own success that sales provides. And I'm not really money motivated. I'm more goal driven. But like you said, marketing is you put something online and you hope, essentially, I know it's more sophisticated than that, but you hope that someone comes to your site and that you put like the right wording up to get them to click the button to give you their contact info. And to me, that's too much like fishing. Like, you're just kind of hoping that someone comes in or casting a net and scooping things up. And I wanted to be more precision focused. I wanted to like know, Jackson, I'm trying to talk to you. I'm going to do everything I can to get you to talk back to me. And that's how I viewed sales. And that's kind of how sales is explained to me. And that, to me, that was just it made more sense in my mind, whether it's my background or whatever. It just seemed like something that I could have more success with and just spoke to me a little bit more. But also, JR, he started a company called Cloudability in Portland that got acquired by Aptio recently, or in the last year. He was one of my early mentors. He would get coffee with me and every once in a while. And he's talked to me about how before he started his company, he didn't really see sales as important. But once he was an early stage founder, having to sell to investors, having to, bring on clients, like he realized that was something that he wished he would have worked on earlier prior to starting a business. And for myself, like I always kind of knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur and start a company at some point. And so when he said that he thought that skill was something that CEOs or founders needed to have prior to being a business owner, I was like, okay, like I got to bite the bullet. I got to know how to sell as early as possible. So those two things were really like the tipping point. It was,
Nice.
yeah.
Nice. I love that, man. It's one thing to say it, but it's another thing to do it. And that's where it comes into play. So, Niko, you mentioned you and your brother rolled out SD remote, right? Or is it,
Yep.
or was it pronounced SDR remote? Because that sounds a lot cooler.
SD remote.
SD remote. Okay. So let's talk about this. You were doing something else before you rolled out. So you were at, I think was it company or is it work from? Work from. So
yeah.
Work from. So talk to me about SD remote. So here it is. You and your brother. You mentioned, you said, because you're 28 right now, and
Yep.
your company's been out for about 3 years, which tells me you rolled it out when you're at the age of 24, which brings a lot of value to our listeners, because SDR and BDR who comes in typically fresh out of college, unless you're doing a horizontal jump,
Yep.
are typically around same age frame. And it's what you're doing is basically letting them know that if you do it, they can also do it.
Yeah.
And that's an entrepreneur route. But where I really want to get to you, so you were at work from. What happened where you said, you know what, fuck it, let's go? Did you chat with your brother, decide to go all out, bootstrap it, get all the knowledge that you learn and know, and start doing your own thing, invest in your own tech stack, building your own list lead, running your own cadences, and just wearing multiple at house at the same time, founder, trainer, whatever, and just start prospecting, bang, 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 bang. Tell us about that story, man.
Yeah, no, thanks for asking. So I think people think that the ledge of entrepreneurship is higher than it actually is. And what I mean by that is if you know what you're good at, it's easy to make money, in my opinion.
Shit.
So, and also Simon Sinek has a quote that I kind of live by, and it's don't confuse enthusiasm with capability. So a lot of young people are enthusiastic about their future, but they're not focusing on being capable. And not to toot my own horn, but once I quit wrestling, I dedicated everything that I did to becoming good at being someone in the tech scene, whether it was marketing or sales. I surrounded myself with people who were also trying to become good at what they were doing. And I just focused on being capable. And so, and what I mean by the ledge isn't as high is if you live within your means and you know, like what wealth is, you can make it pretty easy to start a company. Like if you reduce your spend, and just sustain your living, it's not, you don't need to make a lot of money to start a company. And so, I mean, also to take a step back before I answer your question, I have great parents. They both dropped out of high school. My mom dropped out as a freshman in high school. My dad dropped out as a junior. And, they kind of taught my brother and I to a lot of things are possible if you just work hard and surround yourself with good people. So, I mean, they didn't come from great means. And, I was the first person, my brother and I were the first people in our extended family to graduate from college besides one of our uncles. And so I just knew where my family came from and how successful I could be based off of the hard work that I've seen from other people. But I also knew that any life that I lived was better than the people who came before me. So taking a risk on starting a company was nothing because I can get a job again later. And I'm still going to make more money than my parents did. Great because of the hard work that they put in, but they allowed my brother and I to live a better life by just working hard. So the risk wasn't too high. And so starting specifically with my brother worked for a few tech companies too. And he worked at Yahoo right before the acquisition, and he was good at closing and I was good at lead generation. And so we just teamed up. We're like, hey, dude, I can generate leads for us. We know a lot about software sales. And we saw a need just based off the companies that I worked at, because I worked for a lot of early stage companies with technical co-founders not really knowing how to drive logos to their business. You know, they could build something, excuse me, but
yeah.
You know, they were shooting from the hip, and like we, you know, saw a need, like, hey, we can make a really efficient outbound engine for you, and we can run it if you just pay us to do it. And like the byproduct would be you get people who buy your software. And so, and so, yeah, we just knew that we had the skills and knowledge to build out a tech stack, to write campaigns, to cold call. And we knew that other people had other skills. They knew how to build things. They knew how to do design, but they didn't have our skills. And we just were confident that we can make money.
Nice.
And it worked out. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Nice.
Did I answer your question? Sorry, that was long-winded. But
Yeah. No, that was great. I love that, man. Hey, so when you mentioned a new seed startup and trying to drive logo, what do you mean by trying to drive logo? Is that getting their brand out there?
So, you know, what I mean by that is, you know, getting the first 10 to 20 clients. So pretty much every, you know, seed funded company, they're trying to prove that their product is worthwhile. They're trying to show their investors that they can get clients to raise another round, most likely.
Gotcha.
And so what we were pitching is like, we can help you get the metrics and proof points that you need to grow out your company, to eventually build your own marketing team, to build your own sales team internally. You know, a lot of things that I saw early on too was a lot of early stage startups would hire leadership too early, and all that person would want to do, let's say they hire a VP of sales, all that person wants to do is hire a team underneath them. In my opinion, a company of that stage doesn't need leadership, they need clients. And so what we said is like, instead of hiring a leader, hire us, we'll get you the clients that then you can, you know, raise a round on. And then instead of burning through, you know, 1 to 3 million in funding by having a big staff, by having, you know, all these tools that are expensive, you know, have a lesser spend, longer run rate, and, you know, get the proof points you need to raise around. So that's kind of what we did.
Nice. I love that. So what I'm hearing over at SD Remote was pretty much so BetterGrowth right now, you guys have a really unique business model. But when it started, you guys were pretty much an outsourced lead generation company, right? Just generate leads only. And so you have a sibling. Is it older brother?
Yeah, older brother.
That's it? Just one older brother and that's it?
Yep, just one.
Okay. And I have to ask, so I'm Vietnamese, Asian American, but what's your nationality, man?
I don't really know. So I get this a lot because everyone thinks that I'm Asian, and
Yeah.
So what I've been told, I haven't taken a 23andMe yet, but what I've been told, my dad's side, my dad's half Puerto Rican and half like English, Norwegian, and my mom is essentially from what she's been told is full German. So,
Okay.
But I've heard, especially with like 23andMe and all the other ancestry companies, like what people think that they are when they take the test, it's totally different. So
Yeah.
I don't know, but
No, that's totally cool, man. Yeah, only reason I asked because I was like, man, this guy kind of has chinky eyes, like
yeah,
I was like, wait a minute. I was trying to figure, are you like part Chinese or something? Or I mean,
I would be surprised.
I was like, wait, but his last name is Hughes, so all good, man. I love it. Okay, so man, you know, I love that, Nico, and this is what I really love and respect about you, man. You know, you're young, you're a great hustler, and you made shit happen. You jumped the gun and you partner up with your brother, you know, and diving deep, like from you ever since you were a wrestler in junior high, and you always, like you mentioned, you know, like for me in high school and college, I struggle with like studying too because I was like not that type of guy. reading and stuff didn't really became a personal growth until I graduated in 2018, just 2 years ago. And I realized, holy fuck, I got to really get down in reading and just really love learning now. But I think I was really similar to you, like where you're at, and I can see where you're coming from. You're like, man, fuck studying. But you know what? I'm a hard worker. I'm going to do what I have to do, put my head down and keep going at it. And, you partner with your brother and you said, but you're always like, you know what? Even if we failed, it's going to be okay, because our parents had it way worse than us. And what we have right now is way better than what they ever had. But more importantly, the most important thing is when we get up there, we do not forget where we came from and we give back, which is why you're coaching right now as a wrestler in Portland.
Yep. No, that's exactly it. That's exactly it.
I love that. So Nico, let's talk about BetterGrowth. So you guys are very unique. I never met any company that do what you guys did until I met you. And I was like, BetterGrowth, what the fuck is this? So I thought you guys just outsourcing, but then you guys you guys do more like just helping companies, like you mentioned, even could act like a sales and even customer success, and really being there like an extension of their team. From what I'm seeing, I really believe BetterGrowth is more like a consultant advisor, but more like an extension to their team. Is that what it is?
Exactly. Yeah, 100%. So, outsourcing is still a significant part of what we do, but it is a byproduct of us being an extension of our client's team. So whether, they need advice and fractional leadership to hit their goals, like our team can come in and realign and redirect through consulting, the customer success, support, and sales teams. We also do training. So if, a team needs to be tuned up on their tactics and their strategies, we can come in and, train them to work proficiently and efficiently. And then also if, they just need, more support, more manpower behind the effort, but they might not have the capacity to lead a new team or new reps internally. That's when our outsourcing comes into play, and we can build a team or augment a team to hit revenue goals. So, yeah.
Nice. And I really see true value there. So let me ask you this. SD Remote, you guys start out as just lead gen. Hey man, you need leads? I got you. You need leads? I got you. And then you guys expanded into other options, which what we just talked about right now, and it's currently working. What happened? What was the bridge behind between that time? Like, what triggered that you go, hey, we should expand here and try this out, and give this a shot and see if it works out? What triggered that?
Yeah, I mean, it really was the team at SD Remote seeing that that we could do what we were doing on the sales side in other departments, but like there's not a lot of customer success outsourcing or consulting, and so we saw that as kind of like an open market, but we didn't have the experience. And so fortunately enough, my old boss, Casey Corrigan, recommended that my partner, Leah Cheney, join us, because she was leaving Ask Nicely and wanting to do consulting and wanting to kind of do what we did for the CS world. And so, by happenstance, we got connected. We were wanting to get into that field. She was wanting to do consulting. And so kind of just, match made in heaven.
Nice.
She joined, hit the ground running, and, we've been crushing it ever since. So,
yeah, man, I can tell. That's good stuff. And I saw your post just yesterday, and you posted a couple of days ago. You guys are hiring an SDR too. So, man, that's it, man. That means you're growing. Yeah.
Yeah, we got 3 slots open. So if any SDRs are looking for work, hit me up on LinkedIn. Happy to.
Yeah. Damn, looking for 3 slots? Damn, G. That's what's up, man. I love it, dude. Yeah. I know this episode will probably launch in 3-4 months or so, but if it's still open and they listen to it, who knows, right? But Nico, so reason I brought that up, what I noticed in the sales development world too is people who are pretty much consultant or advisors, more times than not, they start off doing lead gen. Like for instance, I just met this guy, I'm sure you know him too, Jason Bay with Blissful Prospecting. Yep. He's been in the game, and he actually started out doing just lead gen only. And then he started realizing, oh, fuck, you know what? I should just start coaching people. And same with like Tito Bort at Sales. This guy was just straight outsource, but now he's rolling out his own training certificate program. So I can see he's starting to take the route too. And I think that's great how, I really believe it's that next step mentality, and where you go, okay, I got this done. It's set. It's gold. It's Gucci. What's next?
Yeah. I mean, same thing on our end. I think outsourcing solves one problem, but it doesn't solve everything for a company. So, if you add more leads to a business and they have holes elsewhere, it might bring some more revenue, but it might, not help them be sustainable. And so what we saw is that we would help companies by giving them more business, but they were still struggling. And so that's how we started doing consulting and training. It's like, it's just naturally the next evolution of a business. And so, I don't think we created problems by bringing revenue to teams, but it just opens the door to seeing how you can help in more ways. And so that's how we started doing more consulting and training as well. And then also, we're in the process of building out some software. So
oh snap! There it is. Sneak peek, baby. Sneak peek, baby.
By the time this episode comes out, it'll probably be launched. So fingers crossed.
Dude, I love that, man. Congratulations, by the way. Growing. That's how you do it, BetterGrowth style. It's constantly growing, right? Yep. Hey, Nico. So I know we're almost running up the hour here, but it's just a few things I just want to ask you real quick. So in sales development, just like technologies, right? Things move fast, and to beat it, you have to be even faster. So when you first start out as doing your SDR gig thing, what's changed today? What's working today that didn't work before in your eyes?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like when I started doing sales development, email was the thing. People were like, the phone's dead, email's the way to go. And then, heavy personalization, automation was the thing to do. And obviously, like today, that's shut down by algorithms and spam filters and stuff. So, you have to evolve over time. And I think people are moving more to social, more to LinkedIn, more to like the influencer game. And that was also heavily back to the phone. Also with, tools like Vidyard and Loom, like creating those personalized videos and experiences. I think what it boils down to is you have to slow down and have a reason to talk to someone. I think when I first started out in sales, you didn't really have to have a reason. You just had to get in front of them. And like, if they open your email, like you can have a conversation, but, not in today's world. I think, things are almost stepping back and regressing, and people are realizing that, not necessarily, I think, value is thrown out a lot, but really what it boils down to is you have to solve a problem and you have to have a reason to talk to someone specifically. Creating conversations, whether it is, in Kevin Dorsey's comment section on his LinkedIn.
Oh, yeah. Okay, dude.
And just being involved in the community and being visible by, providing answers to questions and having knowledge. Whether it's one-to-one or one-to-many, it's like you have to have a reason to have a voice and a reason to talk. And I think that's what things are kind of evolving to. I don't think the tactic or the media, it is significant, but you can call someone all day if you don't have a reason to talk to them. When they pick up the phone, you're going to have nothing to say and they're going to hang up. So same thing with email, same thing with LinkedIn. You have to have that purpose.
Oh man, that was gold. Okay, if that wasn't the price of admission right there, I don't think anything else is. And Nico, I love that, man. I'll tell you why. So there's a lot of tech and SaaS company nowadays, right? There's a lot of them that's been out for a very long time, and they have the old school stuff. They have marketing, and they have sales, just the AEs, and then the AEs do their shit, and then they network and get referrals, and then they start hearing this thing called sales development, and they're like, okay, fuck it, man, we gotta start rolling out a program, and then they roll out a sales development program, but what happens is they don't have a properly trained team, and to tying it back relevancy to you when they're reaching out. sometimes they're just reaching out with like no relevancy at all. Like just, hey man, nice to meet you. I just want to introduce myself, and it has nothing to do with it. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't catch. And sometimes, like you said, like they're calling you, there's no end goal there, and it's just it's a waste of time.
Yeah, 100% agree.
That's why the guy had call up BetterGrowth, right?
Yep. Yep. Gotta have a conversation.
Oh man. Okay, so Niko, before we wraps up, I want to see from your eyes, your view.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to a successful SDR and BDR, let's say you're hiring 3 right now. What do you look for in a successful rep who, let's say, they just got fresh out of college? What kind of traits you looking for? What kind of tactics are you using? Are you telling them to, hey, tell me a story? And you just analyzing the way they see honesty, if they're throwing some bullshit, because sometimes they lie and can't back it up and get caught. But
Yeah.
what do you look for in a successful SDR?
Yeah, the first 2 questions I ask, which I think are kind of the key indicators for me, is why software sales, and then why BetterGrowth. And what I'm looking for with those questions is I like to hire people who know what they want. So I don't want to hire someone who's thinking about sales or thinking about tech. I want to hire someone who knows that software sales it might not be where they want to spend their whole career, but it's where they know they have to be to get to the next spot. And I think that shows that someone's motivated and willing to put the time in and put the work in. And also, like, whether it's BetterGrowth or, I was at a different company, I want to know why they want to work for me, for my company, because that should be the reason. You shouldn't, in my opinion, you shouldn't apply to places. Obviously, you got to make money, but you shouldn't apply to places that you don't want to be at. So you should know everything about them before you submit the application. One step further, as far as like kind of the traits that I look for, hard work and being interested, being interested and curious, because I think that will allow someone to prospect and qualify and research with intent. So just having a curious mind, I kind of ask to pull that out. I ask like what people are reading. Not saying that you have to read to be curious, but usually people who are learning and seeking more knowledge are curious minded. And then, people that are going above and beyond. So like everyone doesn't have to go to college, in my opinion, but I like to see and hear from people that have shown the ability to always go one step above, always do a little bit more than the people next to them. And I think with those traits, you can be good at software sales. You can be good at really anything. If you're always seeking, always trying to improve, always trying to learn, like, you'll be successful. So.
Woo! There it is. There it is. There fucking is. And it all tied back to your wrestling days in junior high.
Yep.
Work harder, willing to do more, willing to take it to the next step, willing to ask for help, and just really don't. And like you mentioned, if they tell you why do you want to be in software sales, they don't have to be in it forever, but they have to show some type of genuine interest. And just like for you in wrestling, you have genuine interest in it, even though you're not doing it right now, but you came back and now you're coaching it. Yep. Damn, Niko! All right, man. So, Niko, let's wrap this up. Don't want to take any more time of yours than we have to here. So, is there any special thanks for people that you want to do so? If so, go ahead and run it out there. And if there's anyone who wants to just reach out to you and say, thank you so much for your word and advice, what's the best way to do so?
Yeah. So again, shout out to, the 3 people that I think have made a huge impact on me in the sales world. Casey Corrigan, VP of Sales at Ask Nicely, Bryce Kropp, Sales Manager at Sheer ID, my brother Anthony, who's just living his life as an investor, doing his thing now. So he's living that coach life. Obviously, my parents, really started from the ground up with them, pushed me hard. As far as reaching out to me, LinkedIn's the best, Nico Hughes. Just find me on LinkedIn, shoot me an email at nico@bettergrowth.com. Shout out to my team, Houston Perry, Leah and Katie Cheney. We're hustling hard. If you need help on the sales or CS front, I'm definitely not the smartest one on my team, so there's a lot more behind me. So,
hey, That's how
hit
you
us
do
up.
it, right? If you're not the smartest, and you hire them, let them be the smartest, man.
Exactly.
And you know, and there's a saying too, Nico. Like, if you're the smartest person in a room, you're doing something wrong.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll get to that next room. Get to that next room.
And yo, Houston, if you're listening to this, Houston, I want to give you a shout out too, man. Nice meeting you, and keep you in touch too. You know. All right, you guys, and that wraps up for the One Up Sales Development Podcast. There it is, Nico Hughes, SVP of BetterGrowth, and Nico, thanks again so much for hopping on the podcast. The sales development community truly appreciates you.
Thank you.